of UPC to say that that is not an innovation. Go back to the documents from the, in fact, the Uganda Development Bank, you trace it in the 60s. On the work for progress, UPC put the Uganda Development Bank. During the 1980s, money had been put severally in Uganda Development Bank. The rehabilitation of industries, you can talk about the sugar industry, which NRM came and found almost complete, and they say they brought sugar. No. Trace it back, Uganda Development Bank, UPC mobilized the funds into Uganda Development Bank. All of the industries which were revived in that period between 1981 to 1985 are covered very well in that, during that process, including the dairy corporation, which the president talked about, and the delivery of coolers. That was all part of the program, was funded and was in place. So the other element which I want to also touch on when the President State of the Nation address, he talked about agriculture and commercial agriculture. On this one, I want to put it on record that UPC was miles ahead. And when UPC approached this problem, did not only look about one side of the problem, we looked about the production, the marketing, and being able to access different markets, transporting the goods. So I feel Uganda is not getting their fair, or Ugandans are not getting their fair recognition from their government. If we cannot respect the interns who deliver us health services, how do we expect that we're going to be working with the extension workers to be able to support agriculture? How are we going to support those who are going to try to export whatever we produce? How are we going to deliver veterinary services across this country? Yet the country seems to be divided, that some areas have services, some areas don't have. The cooperatives, how do we strengthen the cooperatives in a way whereby they will be working for and on behalf of the people of Uganda? So all of these questions come out, and how do these matters be addressed? I, as Jimmy Akena and Uganda People's Congress, we went into 2026 election with a clear policy program on how we wanted Uganda to move. Unfortunately, we are not able to present that program to Ugandans, but many of the ideas are still relevant. And so we're going to be bringing these ideas time and time again, addressing concerns which we feel are very important to the people of Uganda. Before I conclude, as a party, I want us to also be able to move on a single position. We have gone through the process of getting our members sworn in at the various levels, parliament, local government, and so now we're taking up offices. And therefore, as a party, I'm also taking some directions which I hope we're going to set us in a way that will be able to respond properly to the needs and the concerns of the people of Uganda. I am therefore using the powers as the President of Uganda People's Congress. I am going to be calling a National Council meeting this Saturday, and we're going to be discussing the status of the Uganda People's Congress. We're also going to be discussing the conduct of the last general elections and UPC's response to that. I'll also be presenting on UPC's future engagement under the structured arrangement under IPOD. Under the UPC Constitution, I am entitled to call an emergency National Council, giving 48 hours notice. Saturday is more than 48 hours notice. The official documentation will be released later today, early tomorrow. So UPC members, because of the Ebola, it's going to be online, but we'll be able to have interactive processes. And I'll also request that those who have issues, concerns, or matters which they feel are important, to channel them directly to the headquarters, and they will also be considered as we address that matter. So on that note, I think let me stop here for now. The last, okay, sorry. I wish I could really be informative on what our debt situation is. I can only speculate. I spent the last 2 terms on the National Economic Committee, but I've been lamenting that we have failed to present a debt status on the floor of Parliament. Each time we try to bring it, other things come up. But when it comes to loans, a loan will come and it is going to be expected to be passed even before the report is made. So the debt status is worrying. The other area which is worrying is that PDM resources was supposed to be a revolving fund. Now the initial funds which went into PDM should be coming back into the system. But the level of collections are far below what was expected. So you're going to run into a situation whereby we're not going to have sufficient funds to fund future PDM programs, so you need to borrow more. And when you're borrowing from the domestic market, you squeeze out others. So our debt situation is precarious. And if we're not careful, we could run into a situation whereby we're not going to be able to manage our debt in the medium to longer term, and that is going to be a crisis. Because a lot of the budget which is going to be passed is to pay debt. So if you're borrowing to pay debt, you're actually digging a hole, and you're not getting out of the hole. You cannot borrow to pay debt. You need to be able to generate sufficient resources to pay debt. When you're borrowing to pay debt, you're just borrowing from Peter to pay Paul, then you still have to pay Peter, and you still have to go around in circles. So it's a risky situation, and it's something which we should be more concerned about. How do you determine the cost of a life? Because if you don't get certain medical services, you lose somebody. Is Uganda ready to lose the people we're losing? We should be valuing the whole issue of life. Life is far more important than anything else. Number one priority, how do we protect the lives of the citizens of Uganda? Diseases are there, they are going to attack. How do you protect them? You must have the right team and the right equipment and the right medications. If you don't have that one, we have betrayed the people of Uganda. Because if you don't have life, there's no production you're going to do, there's no work you're going to do, you'll be dead. And also we lose a lot of man hours. When somebody's down, the burial and everything. No, we need to look at when somebody's alive, how do we protect that life? And you cannot do it without the medical teams. So the interns are not as can be dispensed of, they're essential. Those are not, even when we had COVID, those were essential workers. The medical workers were essential workers. All the workers which I'm trying to talk about, who deserve housing, who deserve better conditions of living, those are essential workers in that we need them for Uganda to operate. And there's no way you can deal with the health services without the team there. What Uganda needs is a well-dedicated and motivated team who can deliver professional health services to the people of Uganda. And it has been done before. Ugandans have been able to deliver those services, and we must be able to do so before. If you check around and look for examples, the program which was done in the 60s is a stellar program, and I'll defend it up to the day where I stand before God. That program worked for the people of Uganda, and we're capable of doing something similar and better because we have hindsight. We have better training facilities. We have more personnel to do so. So we should not have an excuse. If our forefathers were able to do so when Uganda only had 400 doctors, were able to deliver such services, what is our excuse today? Something when I was following the news. The productive areas are not getting a lot of money. Agriculture, where majority of Ugandans survive, there's little money. Tourism, where we're hoping that we're going to be able to grow and generate income when this is coming, there's very little money into tourism. So where are you putting the money? Priorities. The question has always been politics. The amount of money in politics is obscene compared to the needs of the people. And that is why I want to put on record, and using documentary evidence. I do not want to be in a situation where I'm arguing with somebody and somebody just brings a figure from the top of the head. Let us use documentary evidence. Because what I am saying and what I stand before the people of Uganda today is that UPC had in the past, has solutions today for the people of Uganda for the future. And if there's another party which can say that we have solutions on some of these questions, please let them come out. And that's what the debate should have been even in the election. How are we going to address these problems? But for some of us, it was a different situation, but we still remain active, we still remain engaged to address what works for the citizens of Uganda. That is the criteria by which we judge success. If it works for the people of Uganda, yes. If it is not working for the people of Uganda, as far as I'm concerned, you have failed. Whether you are there for 50 years, whether you're there for 100 years, whether you claim that you have done this, whether the statistics you can pull out, as long as the people of Uganda are not benefiting as citizens of Uganda, you have failed. We focused on bringing policy ideas which will work for the people of Uganda. And I can confidently stand and say that everything we put in the manifesto, we did the maths behind it. It is not a speculative idea. It is not wishful thinking. It is being worked out meticulously. And I invite anybody to test any of the ideas. And that is why I've shared some of these policy questions. Please test it. The other week I was here on the affordable housing. I don't know if any of the members who follow that one actually tested those ideas. Because you're supposed to test an idea. If I claim I can produce or I can, through my ideas, provide 300,000 housing in a shortfall of 2.4 million houses in Uganda, it should be tested. Am I just standing here talking for the sake of talking? Am I talking to the people of Uganda? Am I lying? Or is it possible? Is it feasible? Is it worked out? So for me, I speak what is feasible. And what I presented was the whole manifesto. I invite anybody to look for any lie or anything which was not worked out, and we covered every area of human development which is necessary for the people of Uganda. My colleagues, I invited them, I said, please, this election is critical. UPC can emerge out of this election with a very stellar performance. We were estimating possibly 40 MPs, but most importantly, we were going to be part of the conversation of the future of Uganda, i.e. on the policy. How is this going to work? Because we keep on talking about things. We're going to provide health services. How do we provide? I wanted that one to be questioned. We're going to provide education. Going to school and education is not the same thing. Somebody can go through school and not be educated. But somebody also can be educated by life and come up with brilliant ideas which can make a difference. How do you deal with those questions? So ours is, how do you deal with Uganda? Uganda, what is the problem with Uganda? How do we deal with these essential workers, the health workers, the teachers, the policemen, the soldiers being deployed, the civil servants who run the local governments? How? Where do they sleep? Those are questions which we put answered as UPC. So I am ready to sit with my colleagues. But I'm also not ready to play second fiddle to some people who do not know what is happening. One of the issues which really annoyed me that somebody was going to court that he might be affected. If it-Akena calls a delegate sponsor, might be affected. For me, there's no might. I put everything in this election and there's nothing about might. My candidates is not might. They were going to be affected and they were affected. The reasons behind it, we may have differing understanding of why it happened. I have an idea why it happened. It's not what many people will speculate, but it is not going to stop it-Akena or UPC speaking for and on behalf of the people of Uganda. If I have a solution which I believe is a solution which will work, I will speak it. I'll find ways of articulating it. I was denied on the ballot, I was denied in the campaign, but the ideas do not go away. And the ideas are not for 2031, the ideas for today. The questions which I was answering for, how do you deal with the problems of Uganda for today? The interns questions are not going to wait for 2031. Medical services are not going to wait. When you're sick today, you need treatment today, now. The earlier you get the treatment, the better chance you have of survival. Oh, we're going to sit back and say, oh, okay, it's gone now, the NRM will do their thing, 2031 we'll sort it out. How many Ugandans are we going to bury? And when I'm going to be tired of just burying Ugandans when there's a possibility that they can live more fruitful lives? So I mentioned that for me it's not going to be business happening. Are they in politics? Are they in politics, really? The last 2 years I've been engaged in this politics, left, right, and center. I have fought for my nomination. I've been here, I've burnt bridges, I've done all sorts of things for the party. I have stood with party members. I have struggled with the little resources to support party members. And they say it's falling apart. Really? To deliver what I've been able to deliver in the circumstances, I should actually be demanding a medal. I should. Under the circumstances which I went through, honestly. Armed people in the house. You only have your daughters in the house. And you can still stand up and talk confidently. Is that really what you want to run a comparison of? People break into your house, armed people in the house, to tell you to back off politics. And I'm still standing here 2026 talking politics, and you say things are falling apart. I'm going to take 2 more questions. And let's be serious. Last time when I talked about housing, somebody said, what about people with no money? Really? You have 2.4 million shortage of housing. Every year, 300,000 shortage of housing. Capacity to build in Uganda, 60,000. Akena is offering 300,000 in 5 years. And then you say, what about those who have no housing? Really? Let's be practical. You start tackling a problem from somewhere. Don't give me something impossible. Yes, sir.
Thank you. My name is Edward. Last time we were here, you talked about one of your colleagues that you fought for the pension who was appointed minister. We want to understand whether you had engagement with your own or you have agreed to continue the monthly review with NRM. If one of your own working in the government as a minister, or you have
I'm ready to answer. I mentioned before, and I'll mention again. As for this 12th Parliament, there is no formal working relationship between UPC and NRM. We have presented a position paper which will guide future discussions. We are open to discussions under IPOD, the framework of IPOD, which we are going to be pursuing as best we can, but we don't have a formal working relationship. So I made it clear that that member who has been appointed has no protection from the Uganda People's Congress or from Jimmy Akena in any discussion. I have left my hands off of that one. So I have the duty to maintain the 11 members who still subscribe and hold on to UPC.
so you have dumped the other member?
No, I have not dumped. The member has gone willingly. Willingly. There was no discussion between us and them. And also the other issue I must put here on record. I'm also a cattle keeper. I have a kraal, I have my animals there. Even if I'm offering to my vice president an animal, he cannot go to my kraal and pick the animal which he wants. He will not pick that animal. I'm the one to say, give him this animal. Or I'll tell my farm manager there, please, this animal there, that is the one you take. Because how do you know? This animal has been treated, this one behaves like this. Now, somebody goes straight into your kraal, not talking to you, and says they're taking this animal. My friend, please. Before we had discussions, the party met at the leadership level. We debated, we discussed, and we agreed to move forward. In this particular case,